bypass the Senate confirmation process. It's like trying to sneak past the bouncer at a club, right?
Oh, wow. So, what exactly are recess appointments? I mean, why are they so controversial? It sounds like a secret backdoor deal or something.
Great question. Recess appointments allow the president to fill vacancies without the Senate's approval when they're not in session. Imagine your boss hiring someone while you're on vacation, and you come back to find a new team member you didn't get to vet. That's the gist of it.
Ah, I see. So it's like skipping the interview process. But why is Trump so keen on this approach now?
Well, Trump is urging the next Senate Majority Leader to support this strategy because it could help him install controversial nominees who might not pass the usual Senate scrutiny. It's like trying to fast-track a movie script that critics might otherwise tear apart.
Got it. But isn't there a constitutional check to prevent this kind of thing? How does that play into the whole scenario?
Absolutely. The Constitution does give the Senate a role in confirming appointments as a check on presidential power. But the recess appointment clause is like an emergency exit, originally intended for times when the Senate wasn't around much, like back in the horse and buggy days.
So it's kind of like using an old loophole in modern times. But why are some Republicans backing this if it's so controversial?
That's the interesting part. Supporting recess appointments could be seen as surrendering a major constitutional responsibility. Yet, some Republicans might view it as a way to push through key appointments quickly, especially if they align with Trump's agenda. It's a bit like choosing to skip the line at a theme park to get on the rides faster.
And what about the risks? I mean, could this backfire on Trump or the Republicans in some way?
Definitely. If they push for recess appointments, it could set a precedent that future administrations might exploit, potentially eroding the Senate's power over time. It's like opening Pandora's box, where the consequences might not be immediately apparent, but could be significant down the line.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. So, Trump's demand for support from the next Senate Majority Leader is really stirring the pot, huh?
Exactly. It's a bold move that could reshape the dynamics between the executive and legislative branches. Well, just have to see how it all unfolds. All right, let's get into the historical context and legal framework of recess appointments. This is where things get really interesting. So Article 2, Section 2, Clause 3 of the Constitution is the key here. It gives the president the power to make temporary appointments during Senate recesses. Think of it as a temporary fix, like using duct tape until you can get a proper repair.
Oh, that's fascinating. So it's like a constitutional Band-Aid? But how have past presidents used this power? Have they all been sneaky about it?
Not necessarily sneaky, but strategic. Bill Clinton made 139 recess appointments. George W. Bush made 171, and Barack Obama made 32. Each used this power to bypass Senate opposition at times. It's like when you find a shortcut on your daily commute to avoid traffic.
Wow, those numbers are higher than I expected. So what were the political implications of these appointments? Did they cause a lot of drama?
Absolutely. They did stir the pot. Recess appointments often led to political tension, especially when the Senate was controlled by the opposing party. It's like a game of chess, where each move is carefully calculated to outmaneuver the opponent.
And what about the legal side of things? Wasn't there a Supreme Court case that put some brakes on this practice?
Yes, indeed. The 2014 Supreme Court ruling in NLRB vs. Noel Canning was pivotal. It set limitations on the use of recess appointments, stating that the Senate must be in recess for at least 10 days for such appointments to be valid. It's like setting a minimum time for a vacation before you can officially call it a break.
Ah, I see. So how does the Senate prevent these appointments now? Do they have some kind of trick up their sleeve?
They do, actually. The Senate uses pro forma sessions, which are brief meetings that technically keep them in session. It's like leaving a light on at home to make it look like someone's there, even when you're out.
That's clever. So these pro forma sessions are like a safeguard against recess appointments?
Exactly. They prevent the president from making appointments without Senate approval, maintaining the balance of power. It's a fascinating interplay of strategy and constitutional law. Now, let's shift gears and talk about the political implications and reactions within the Republican Party. Trump's demand for support on recess appointments has really shaken things up, especially among those vying for the Senate Majority Leader position.
Oh, I bet that's causing quite a stir. So, how are the candidates for Senate Majority Leader reacting to this? Are they all on board with Trump's plan?
Well, it's a mixed bag. John Thune, John Cornyn, and Rick Scott have all expressed varying levels of support. Thune and Cornyn are a bit cautious, suggesting that all options are on the table, while Scott is more enthusiastic, saying he has 100% on board. It's like watching a game of poker, where each player is trying to read the room before making their move.
Interesting. So, what does this mean for the Senate's role in governance? Could this shift the balance of power?
Absolutely, it could. If recess appointments become a norm, it could undermine the Senate's role in vetting and confirming nominees, effectively sidelining their constitutional duty. It's like removing the referee from a soccer match. The game might still go on, but the rules could get blurry.
That sounds risky. What are the potential challenges or risks involved in bypassing the Senate confirmation process?
There are quite a few. For one, it could lead to increased partisanship and further erode trust between the executive and legislative branches. Plus, there's the risk of appointing unqualified individuals, which could have long-term consequences for governance. It's like building a house on a shaky foundation. It might stand for a while, but it's vulnerable to collapse.
Wow, that's a lot to consider. So, how might this impact Trump's relationship with the Senate moving forward?
It's a delicate dance. While some senators might support his agenda, others could push back, especially if they feel their authority is being undermined. It's like trying to maintain harmony in a band where the lead singer wants to go solo.
I see. It sounds like the stakes are pretty high for everyone involved.
Indeed, they are. The coming months will be crucial in determining how these dynamics play out and what it means for the future of U.S. governance.